This, my friends, is the tale of how my HOA called the cops on me for camping on my own land, and how I discovered they'd been breaking the law for years. My name is Sam, and I live in a place called Eagle's Landing. There are no eagles, and the only thing landing here is a constant stream of HOA violation notices. Our HOA president is a woman named Carol Bickford. If you pictured a woman with a severe bob haircut, a perpetual frown, and a clipboard she uses like a scepter of power, you've met Carol. The one saving grace of Eagle's Landing is the small, spring-fed lake at the back of the neighborhood. It's beautiful. My property is one of the lucky few that actually backs onto it. The previous owner sold the house to me and mentioned, almost in passing, "Oh, and the property line goes all the way to the big oak tree on the far shore." Pretty neat. Huh. I thought it was very neat. I'd spent the last year clearing a little path down to my slice of the shoreline. Nothing crazy, just a place to sit by the water. I decided to celebrate my anniversary of buying the house by doing something I'd always dreamed of. A solo overnight camping trip. Not in my backyard, but down by my lake. I pitched a small tent, built a safe, contained little campfire, cracked open a beer, and just listened to the frogs. It was pure bliss. The bliss lasted until about 9 p.m. That's when the beam of a high-powered flashlight hit my tent. "This is private property. You are trespassing on Eagle's Landing common area. Come out with your hands where I can see them." I unzipped my tent to find Carol Bickford and her sycophant neighbor, Gary, standing there like a pair of discount neighborhood watch volunteers. Carol's face was contorted in rage.
"Sam?
"What in God's name do you think you're doing?" she shrieked. "Camping, Carol. On my property," I said, staying calm. "Your property ends 30 feet from the water's edge. This is common land. This is a flagrant violation of at least 5 bylaws. Unauthorized structures, that's the tent. Open flames, littering. Is that a beer can? Unauthorized landscaping, and creating a nuisance." She was practically hyperventilating. "Carol, I own down to the oak tree. Always have." She let out a condescending laugh. "Don't be ridiculous. No one owns the lakefront. It's common area for the community. Now pack this eyesore up or I'm calling the police." I was too tired to fight. I figured I'd just sort it out in the morning with the property deed. "Fine, Carol. I'll move. But you're wrong." "I am never wrong about the bylaws, Samuel," she said smugly. "Expect a fine in the morning." The fine came, all right. It was a masterpiece of pettiness. Subject: Official Notice of Violation and Fines. Case #EL 459. Dear Mr. My last name. You have been found in violation of the following Eagle's Landing CC and RS. Asterisk Sector 4.12. Unauthorized use of common area, trespassing $200. Asterisk Sector 8.03. Open flames. Fire hazard $150. Asterisk Sector 11.01. Unapproved external structures. Tent $100. Asterisk Sector 17.45. Visual nuisance and aesthetic blight. $250. Asterisk Sector 22.10. General noncompliance. $100. Total due $800. Asterisk You have 10 days to remit payment. Further noncompliance will result in additional daily fines and legal action, including lien placement on your property. Asterisk Sincerely, Carol Bickford, President. Eagle's Landing HOA. Visual nuisance and aesthetic blight. My little campfire was an aesthetic blight, but Gary's plastic pink flamingos, which were HOA approved, somehow were not, right? I emailed her back, attaching a copy of my property deed from the county clerk's website. I circled the part that described the boundary. Thence south 45 degrees east, 150 feet to the large white oak tree, marking the riparian boundary. Her response was immediate. The HOA's plat map, which supersedes individual deeds in matters of common area, clearly shows the common area extending 30 feet past the waterline. Your deed is in error. Pay the fines. Supersedes individual deeds. That didn't sound right at all. It was time to go spelunking. I got a copy of the original community plat map from the county archives. I read the HOA's founding documents, the CC and RS, until my eyes crossed. And there, buried in a footnote of a subsection about easements and right-of-ways, I found it. The plat map did show a common area greenbelt around the lake. But the legal description stated it was a non-possessory easement for access and maintenance, not ownership. The HOA had a right to access the strip of land to maintain the lake's health, but they did not own it. The property lines of the lakefront homes, including mine, indeed went right to the water's edge. Carol wasn't just wrong. She was lying, or she was incompetent. Either way, she had been illegally claiming ownership of my land for years. But why? I took a walk down to the lake, and that's when I saw it. On common area that was actually my land, the HOA had installed a small decorative fountain. They'd also built a paved walking path that cut across the corner of my property. For years, they'd been maintaining, altering, and installing structures on private property without permission. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. They were fining me for trespassing on my own land, while they had been the actual trespassers all along. I didn't say a word. I hired a professional surveyor, a friend from college, to come out and officially stake my property line. He confirmed it. My land included the entire area where I'd camped, plus the fountain, plus a section of the path. I then sent a very formal, certified letter to the HOA board. To the Eagles Landing HOA board, pursuant to the recent violation notice, case #EL459. I have had my property professionally surveyed. The results, attached, confirm my ownership to the riparian boundary as described in my deed. Furthermore, it has come to my attention that the HOA has installed and maintained improvements upon my private property without my consent. See photos of fountain and pathway. This constitutes trespass and unauthorized alteration. Please provide documentation of the easement that permits this activity within 14 days, or I will have no choice but to take legal action to have these structures removed and seek damages for trespass.
Sincerely, Sam.
The response was not from the board. It was from Carol personally via email. It was unhinged. You are a troublemaker. Your survey is wrong. Our attorney will be in touch. Do not threaten this board. She didn't have an easement. She had nothing. 2 days later, I went back down to the lake to take some more photos. I was on my phone, talking to my lawyer friend, explaining the situation. I saw Carol watching me from the common area across the lake. 10 minutes later, I heard sirens. A police cruiser pulled up near the entrance to my path. 2 officers got out. Carol was trailing behind them, pointing dramatically at me. That's him, officers. The serial trespasser. I warned him. He's back again. I walked up the path to meet them. Evening, officers. I said. What seems to be the problem? The senior officer, a guy who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, said, Sir, we've had a complaint you're trespassing. This lady says this is HOA property. It's not, I said calmly. It's mine. I own it. Carol scoffed. He has a tent somewhere. He's probably got another fire going. He's a menace. Ma'am, is he on your property? The officer asked her. It's not my property. It's the HOA's property, she insisted. But is it yours? The other officer pressed. It's the community's. I could see the officers getting frustrated. I decided to end it. Officers, I have the county plat map, my deed, and a professional survey right here on my phone. Would you like to see it? I showed them. The senior officer zoomed in, looked at the stakes my surveyor had placed, and looked back at his screen. He handed the phone back to me. Ma'am, he said to Carol, his voice flat, this is his property. You can't trespass someone from their own land. Carol's face turned purple. But the rules, the bylaws, the common area. I don't know anything about that, ma'am. This is a civil matter. We're not going to arrest a man for being on his own property. He tipped his hat to me. You have a good night, sir. Sorry to bother you. The look of utter defeat on Carol's face as the police drove away was better than any campfire sunset. Carol, in her infinite wisdom, decided the best way to deal with this was to double down. She called an emergency HOA meeting to address the lakefront situation and the behavior of a delinquent homeowner. She thought she was calling me to the principal's office. She was actually walking right into my trap. The community clubhouse was packed. Everyone had heard about the cops being called. Carol took the podium. "Thank you all for coming. We have a serious issue. A homeowner is repeatedly trespassing on common area, threatening the board, and now wasting police resources. We must vote to approve immediate legal action to." I stood up. "Point of order, Carol. May I address the board and my fellow homeowners?" She glared but had to yield the floor. I didn't bring a laptop. I brought a giant rolled-up poster. I unfurled it on the table. It was a blown-up, color-coded version of the plat map and my survey. "Friends, neighbors," I began. "For years, we've been told the lakefront is common area. It's not. Carol has been fining me for trespassing on my own land. But more importantly, she has been lying to all of you." I pointed to the map. "This green belt? It's an easement for access, not ownership. The HOA does not own it. We," I said, pointing to the 6 lakefront homes, "do. And for years, the HOA has been using our land without our permission to build things like this fountain and this path." I let that sink in. Carol called the cops on me for camping on my property. But did you know that the HOA's own actions, building permanent structures on private land without permission, is actual legal trespass? They've been committing a crime for years while writing me fines for a violation that never happened. The room exploded. People were shouting. The other lakefront homeowners were livid. "They built a path on my land? I pay taxes on that." Carol was screaming, "This is a lie. He's twisting the words." But it was over. A retired lawyer in the back stood up and said, "Sam's right. I've read the documents. The HOA is catastrophically in the wrong here." Carol Bickford was voted out as HOA president that very night. The board was overhauled. The new board's first action was to formally void all my fines and issue a written apology. Their second action was to negotiate a proper, legal easement with the 6 lakefront homeowners, including me, for the existing path and fountain. We agreed to it for a token fee of $1 a year, on the condition the path remain open for community use. The third action? They repealed the absurd visual nuisance bylaw. Now, every year on the anniversary of the night the cops came, the lakefront homeowners throw a big camping party on our collective stretch of shore. We have bonfires, we roast marshmallows, and we tell the story. And my tent? It's pitched right next to the decorative fountain, the one that sits on my land. I call it my vacation property. So, the moral of the story? Know your property lines. Read the fine print. And if an HOA Karen tries to tell you you're trespassing on your own land, just smile, wait for the cops to show up, and hand them the proof. It's the most satisfying feeling in the world.